Hey guys, this is Stefan. I am sitting yet again with my Alt Angora, and we're going to talk about the fourth release of LumiPro this year. And this is now going into beta, and I'm trying to keep to the tradition of doing about 4 releases a year of improvements to LumiPro versus just making another LumiPro and trying to pull more money out of you guys. Let's just keep improving this LumiPro. In any case, the goal of this LumiPro was to get a pose stool system in place, and there's some other feature optimizations. The backup server's been improved, the HUD minimizer's been improved, and then I added a feature for machinists in there here as well. So let's walk through this. And so in any case, I have had in my personal inventory something I slapped together one evening, which is something I call a Sitbox here. And the Sitbox was nothing more than something on channel 26. I could just turn the thing on and off, and then if I had the let's see, if I had the model sit on this thing here, then I could 43 photo. Let's put her into one of the photo poses here. Then she could sit there and pose with this thing, and then I could just didn't have any movement ability, but I could just move the thing up and down, and then go back into local chat and hide the thing and pose her around. And then if I wanted to move it again, I had to go back into local chat and res it and edit it and etc. You get the point here. It wasn't necessarily the best system in the world. So I have been experimenting now for nearly 9 months on a pose stool system, and what I ended up with was something very different than I thought I would end up with, but I'm actually fairly happy with it, and I wanted to get your guys' feedback. So pose stools need to be res. There's no way around it, but under the res menu we can res a sit ball, and there's the sit ball right there, and I've got to work up the cam to get Angora to sit on it, and notice it says Angora. Now the reason why I have Angora do this thing is there's just some complicated math, since her height is different than my height, and computing the height from the floor is really tough in scripts. If I dedicate this to the person, then I can do some math on this thing. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant her to stand on it. And so poof, she stands on it and puts her just into a sit pose, and then I can just pick one of my poses here to put her in. Let me get out of the way here. Now, just like we had with the balls, where you could touch a ball. I'll touch this red ball, for example. When you touch the red ball, it moved you closer to the moved you closer to the red. It moved the red ball kind of in the direction you touched it. I could take the blue ball, touch the. You can see it moving out. Although she's moving around, makes it a little different here. Get out of the way yet again. The sit ball runs the same way. Let me hide all these face lights here. Oops, that hit the other one too. Sorry. In either case, the way you do is you can just touch this ball. If I touch the ball along its equator, then it just moves her in that direction. So if you notice I'm touching it closer to me, it's moving her towards me. If I roll around the backside and touch on the equator around the backside, it pushes her away. If I touch the top of the ball, then it lifts her up, and if I want to move her both close and down, I just touch below the equator, and I can then go identify exactly where her feet need to be relative to the heel size, etc., that she's wearing, and then I can just hit hide and off to the races. So the other thing I can do is if you just touch and hold, it moves her around. Now she's going down on the ground a little bit. Pull her up a little bit. The other thing we need is rotation, and if you notice, this thing has a little spar on it, and there's a little clockwise icon there, and on the top of it is I'm sorry, this is counterclockwise and clockwise. If I touch this thing, I can actually rotate her around here, and I can also hold the button down and you'll see her rotate. I also added a set of spars for finer rotation, and the finer rotation is based on the length from the center of the ball. So if I touch far out, she rotates a lot. As I get closer and closer to touching the center, all the way up to here, we can just do these little teeny rotations on her as she's done. So in either case, this gives us a fine ability, and the nice obviously thing is I can hit hide and it goes away, and nothing stops you certainly from just hitting right click edit if you'd so like and move the thing around and stop editing, hit hide, and pose away. So that is, I think, a darn good system for this thing. You can obviously res as many of these things as you would like for each one of the models that you're working with. I also put a 4-day auto return on it, so if you forget about these things and leave them laying around, they'll clear out of your prim counts over a while. Okay, so that's the end of the discussion on the sit ball, and a lot of revisions on it. So let me know what you think about this thing. What else? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about the minimize that this system has, and the minimizer is based on the concept of the HUD of just the hide button here. And before, when I was hiding it, I was actually just taking the prim transparent. And the problem was when the prim were transparent and you needed to do an editor or something or do something on the screen in that point, this thing was consuming a fair amount of the real estate on your screen. So the new system, and this is where I need my beta customers to give me a little feedback here. Let me zoom out a little bit. The new system, when I'm going to have to hold edit and hit touch here to touch the thing. Notice what it did is it actually just lifted the HUD off the screen, and what was left was as a secondary hide button, and then you can come back in and put this thing back. The pose wheel is still available while you're hidden. So if you, and I made this thing fairly, but in either case you can go next pose, next pose, next pose. You don't have to go in and out of hidden to do the next poses. That's it for that feature, and I'm really looking to make sure that it works correctly in all the scenarios that you might run into. The next thing I want to talk about is the backup server, and the backup server is when you go from any of the pose options. There was something called a life's being a little funky today. We can just res a backup server, and let's this thing res for a second here. The idea prior to the backup server was just to store the animation catalogs in case you accidentally reset your HUD, or for whatever reason needed to reset your HUD. You could save all your genders. The new one now, when you say backup catalog, is not only transferring the gender database, but it's actually also copying the animations as well. Okay, so now what you can see is not only does the backup server contain the gender information and any of the presets that you've done, but it also contains all of the animations that were in the HUD. Be very cautious of no copy animations. It will actually pull them out of your HUD. It is very rare to find a no copy animation in this world today, so I'm not too worried about that. And then what you can do is just pull this thing back into your inventory, and pull this thing back into your inventory, and you're done. Okay, last piece is a feature that we added for machinimists, and the theory is that when you're doing eye gazing, let me hide the balls here. When you're doing eye gazing for photography, and I'm moving Angora's eyes, I'm moving her eyes left, I'm moving her eyes right, and then up and down, etc. You can't. You can just do this, and then when you get it happy, you take your photo. Machinists don't have this option. We can't have the HUD up. We can't be steering the eyes while we're shooting, etc. So what I did was I came up with a command line prompt, and what you do is it's under /45. Just say you specify a time relevance and then a degrees here. And so what I did is I have a 240. What this says is every 2 seconds it's going to pick a new random eye position left and right between -40 and 40 degrees. So what you can see is it's eye shiftable every 2 seconds to a range of 40 degrees. And so what you can see now is that every couple seconds her eyes are going to go. So for example, if I put her into a dance animation. So when we put her into a dance animation, you can see now that her eyes are shifting around while she's dancing. So if I'm trying to do a machinimist recording of this, then it's going to catch her eye position movements that you can see on this. And it's subtle, but it's actually important. And a frozen set of eyes in machinimist is not that interesting. Okay, guys, that's it. Looking forward to your guys' feedback. My goal is to get this released by December 15th for holiday sales, and so I need the beta feedback by December 8th. Looking for your feedback, guys. Thanks.